Welcome, Brattleboro and our sister access stations in Vermont. This is Marijuana Resolve, and we are back with part 2 of our exploration of hemp. We have an excellent, informative, intelligent fellow who is one of the founders of hemp. He is currently, and has been, I think, for a while, one of the treasurers of Vote Hemp. And he has already given us in part 1 of this quite a bit of information, and we're here today to return and continue that process. This information can help the legislature. It can help you folks to contact the legislature and to keep the attention on hemp pretty strongly. Eric, once again, welcome to Marijuana Resolve.
Thank you, Vita. Thank you, Daryl. It's
yeah,
good
nice
to be here.
To have you here again.
Thank you.
Long trip back, I know.
That's right. Sorry, I'm wearing the same.
Yeah, well, you know, hey, at least you're conserving money and energy, man. That's beautiful.
Right.
And he still has his hemp pants on. So
I do. For those who watched the first segment.
So why don't we begin by we've been kind of going back and forth a lot of information. Part of the reason for that is that there's too much to actually give everyone, and we're trying to do in an hour what really took you and the people that you work with a very long time, to come to all of this understanding. So we'll do the best we can. Right. Why don't you start with something that you think that our farmers and our Vermont people should hear?
Oh, there are a lot of things, but I guess one thing I'm pretty sure we didn't get too into in the last segment was talking about hemp and its the role it plays, I think, in the future of our country.
Yeah, let's do that.
And Vermont. And I'm actually working on an article now for Vermont Commons that talks a little bit about this, which will be coming out in a few months.
The Vermont Commons or our Commons? The one right here.
No, this is upstate. Not here. It's the Vermont. It's an online
publication.
Okay,
yeah.
that's why.
So a written article.
Right.
But we're at this point in time where the country's struggling, our economy is hurting. We have all this debt as a country. We're trying to find our way. Jobs are severely lacking. People are unemployed, looking for work, can't find work, and yet. So you look at that situation, and then we sit here and talk about hemp, and one thing you kept bringing up, Daryl, that I love to hear is that this is, first of all, we've already talked about hemp as separate from marijuana. Right. It's not a drug. The real promise of hemp and its real benefit to society and humankind is its economic potential. Its productive potential. This is a raw material that can be used in literally thousands. I mean, the number that got thrown out for many years is 25,000 products, and that comes from an old article at one point. But it's thousands and thousands of articles. And again, I've talked about foods. Anything that's made out of nuts or beans can be made out of hemp. The fiber can be made into clothing, can be made into what's called non-wovens, composite materials. And for example, there are millions of cars in this country today that have hemp fiber in their dashboards and their door panels. Companies like Ford, BMW, they're using this, and they're not using it because they want to call this car the Hempmobile and it's got some marketing cachet or anything. They're using it because it makes sense. It makes economic sense. It makes sense performance-wise. It's lighter than fiberglass. And by the way, the fibers replaced fiberglass. But it's lighter, it's renewable, it's
stronger, isn't it?
It's stronger.
You get more
it's
more
productive, a greater biomass producer. It makes sense on so many levels. So here we have this raw material that can be used in so many different products in a way that's renewable and sustainable and recyclable. And a lot of those products, for example, like petroleum-based products. A lot of people don't realize how many things are made out of petroleum, out of hydrocarbons, out of oil. Plastics, chemicals, fertilizers. The list goes on. I mean, there are all these things made, and they're not recyclable.
Everything Republicans would love to be for jobs creation. I mean, everything.
That's right.
Why Oh man, Eric, I'm telling you.
So
And
the
there's a-
Keep
potential-
going. I don't want to get you
There's a
off
few
track. here.
Democrats that might be interested. You know,
It ain't all just Republicans. I don't
is
mean to pick
Peter?
on this
I'm
so
only
much, but
kidding. I'm just Peter. Are you listening in? Okay. Good.
Governor, actually, now we call him.
Well,
I respect the man enormously.
right, Governor.
Governor,
Mr. Governor.
Governor Shumlin. Yes, we respectfully request that you, in fact,
Come on the show.
and come on the show and talk to Eric yourself. If not, you know, we'll make a way for you to
Have
for
one of
you
your
to
people.
because,
Well,
because
we'll be
Eric's the
reaching out.
kind of person that the governor needs to talk to, that the legislators need to. Yes, go ahead.
I want to get back to the political side of this.
Okay, good.
But just to finish the point about the potential of hemp. So there's this product. It's renewable, recyclable, et cetera, et cetera. All these good things that a lot of the raw materials we use today are not. And are going to disappear at some point. As we know, I mean, we see gas
Absolutely
prices
float in the ocean.
going through the roof. We've got these islands of plastic floating in the ocean.
Well, then also, just to jump in, are any of these products are more biodegradable than ones that are made out of oil, like plastic
Oh, sure.
and so on?
Right, right.
So if they ended up in the ocean for any reason, unlike plastic products,
Right.
the hemp-made products would have a greater degrading, biodegradable feature?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're starting to see products, and some of you may have come across these, the old styrofoam take-home containers. Styrofoam's made out of oil.
Yes,
That's
right.
not, it used to not be recyclable. Some of them are now, but it's certainly not compostable. Hemp, and other similar products, corn, other starches, a lot of these natural things that grow out of the soil. And of course, oil was something that had grown out of the soil millions of years ago.
From
and
the fossils,
it's just,
yes, right.
with lots of pressure and time, it's
Right.
now turned into oil.
Right.
But that's where you get this difference between what we call hydrocarbons, oil, petroleum-based products, and carbohydrates, which are plant-based products.
Right.
They're a bunch of carbon and hydrogen with some oxygen and other things thrown in here and there. But basically, carbohydrates, they're the same thing. And so basically, anything you can make out of a hydrocarbon or oil, you can also make out of a plant. And hemp just happens to be one of the greatest producing plants there is. So, I mean,
Yep.
that
Right up there with
concept in
bamboo.
general, bamboo, kanaf, jute, all sorts of others that grow very quickly and produce lots of biomass. So the potential here is that we have this raw material that can be grown almost anywhere. It's been bred over thousands of years by cultures around the world, so there are varieties that can pretty much grow anywhere except for the Arctic and the Antarctic, I guess. But almost every other environment, there is a breed of hemp that has been developed to excel in that environment. So it can be grown from Florida all the way up to well into Canada.
Can hemp be also can you have two harvests in 1 year, or is it annual?
In some areas, obviously equatorial areas that have long growing seasons or never have a freeze, you can get probably 3, even 4 in some cases, depending what you're growing it for.
Right.
Crops a year. Yes.
So it's much more easier to, because if you're able to grow hemp that often, it's not like oil that we're going to run out of. You can grow hemp every year.
Right.
It comes back all the time.
That's right.
And like I said earlier, you get 7 times more production out of an acre of hemp than you do of corn. And look at what we use corn for.
And I'm not positive about that statistic, but I'm
That's the one I hear. I've heard 7 and 8 times, and that's what I go with.
It's the corn versus hemp. I mean, another one that's out there, and this one actually comes from the USDA, the Department of Agriculture, who, by the way, was all for hemp back in the day and wrote manuals about how to grow it, and made a movie during World War II called Hemp for Victory, encouraging our farmers to grow it because they needed these raw materials that were in low supply because of the war and shipping lanes being cut off and whatnot.
So we could have an unlimited supply of hemp, carbohydrate-based energy, oil, food, different industry
Clothing,
things,
everything.
clothing. But we're still stuck in an oil world. Where are our hemp barons? Don't we need some hemp barons somewhere?
I want to be one.
We're a little tired of the oil barons, so so we just got a salute from Joe. Thank you, Joe.
I think the hemp barons they're all in the making because hemp is happening, and we will see this plant legalized in this country. It's just a matter of when. part of Vote Hemp's strategy has been, we basically have a three-pronged strategy, and one is the grassroots and educating consumers and voters. The other is legislatures, both state and federal, educating them, getting laws passed, getting rid of laws that work against it, getting laws in place that are for it and promote it. And then the other area that we focus on is the media, and that's why I'm doing a show like this, because getting the word out there. It's all about education, really, more than anything. Educating all of these stakeholders, really, and that's what we've done. And like we said in the last segment, we didn't think it was going to take this long because it's sort of one of these no-brainer issues. But there's a lot of stuff going on with politics and the hot potato issues and.
Well, to me, this goes to show you that politics ain't about the people all the time. It's
Yeah.
about
That's
your own
an
private
interesting-
interests and whoever's got the most power and money, which, from what I've seen, that is firmly what I believe now. Because
funny-
if they opened up the door and just said, okay, and one of the things, I'm glad you came on this show, even though it says marijuana resolved, because that is one of the things, personally, well, I've talked about what I want to see, but I don't want to muck up the hemp and the marijuana thing, because right now, hemp needs to be done for so many reasons, economically, medically, because it's good in the medical field too, folks. I tell you, bandage, wrappings, it's unbelievable what that product does.
I want to make an interesting point there, actually, because I hardly ever see this point being made, and that is, people talk about medical marijuana, and there are various cannabinoids, and I talked before about THC, which is the psychoactive cannabinoid. That's what gets you high.
Right.
But there are other cannabinoids, and those have medical applications as well. Now, hemp is very low in THC, but it happens to be particularly high in some other cannabinoids that don't affect one psychoactively.
right.
So you don't get high from them. You don't feel anything.
But they do have medical effects.
But there are all sorts of great
Exactly
medical
right.
benefits. So really, you could grow hemp, and we'll call it medical hemp or whatever you'd like. But it's a lot of those same cannabinoids are very abundant in hemp. And when you
very good
harvest,
point.
if you're a farmer growing hemp for seed, whether that's for oil or for seed for food products, etc., you typically end up shaking that seed out of the flower, out of the bud, which is where the seeds grow, obviously. And when you're done harvesting that seed, that bud, what's left basically just gets, in most cases, turned back into the soil as fertilizer, natural fertilizer.
If Monsanto starts going after the hemp seeds and the marijuana seeds, that's when you know you're going to be getting close to legalization of everything.
That's right. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not.
I bet you right now they're hoarding
not
it.
already.
I will bet you now they're hoarding it. There's no doubt. People really got to do their homework on that. My problem is now, Eric, is I got into politics. I learned a lot about a lot of other stuff, which makes me even more afraid of what's going on around me, because it is unbelievable the power of the few over the rest of us in so many fields. And I don't want to get us all away on everything, because right now the issue is hemp. So, but it comes into play in the medical field. I mean, in our healthcare. I mean,
There are so many
drives you nuts,
uses.
doesn't
it does drive me nuts. I got to take a break.
Well,
now.
yeah. Well, like I said, I've been working on this issue for well over 10
know,
years.
thank you.
And
we started Marijuana Resolve for the same reason you started Vote Hemp. We wanted to start getting it out there more, get more of the stuff out there, and help the legislature bring them stuff. So my hat's off to what you're doing, and I'm glad you're still doing
trying
it.
to do something.
And like you, we are in business to put ourselves out of
Yeah,
business.
I hope I don't have to do this in 10. I
No,
hope I'm not here in 10 years.
we're not going to be funded that way, and you guys really didn't start out that way either. Luckily, you do have good support, though, around
Really
the
good
country.
support.
Is that true? Or
Yeah,
fairly good support?
We have good support from
They don't have the stigma neither.
from the grassroots. I mean, we have a
The
lot.
marijuana stigma, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of supporters like you folks out there that send us small donations. We're a nonprofit, obviously, but we are a non-tax deductible nonprofit because we lobby. So we're a
we're the
501c4.
same
We're
thing.
the same way, pretty
Right,
much.
so-
We're not tax deductible, but
So-
we could accept small donations.
Yeah,
yes.
so
Right.
we accept donations from people that support this issue, as well as businesses in the hemp industry who obviously would like to see hemp legalized in this country and send us their support as well. So, but yeah, we are a nonprofit and we're certainly the largest organization focused on the hemp issue on a national level, and you know, there are lots of other groups that deal with the issue or even focus on it. But
Do you have anything coming down the pike for this session in the legislature right here in Vermont?
nothing here in Vermont. Again, last segment we talked about where Vermont is, and we've got a law in place. We've essentially legalized hemp in this state. However, the rules related to licensing a farmer to grow hemp have not been written, and that's because we're waiting for the federal government to do
I'm
something.
going to have to ask Albee on that. You know, that's the Commissioner of
Right.
Ag. He lives in Westminster. Next time I get a hold of him, I'm
Yeah.
going to ask him what's going on that one.
Yeah, and
You know, because that...
he would be the one.
Yeah,
he would be
he's
the
the
one.
guy.
He and his people would be the ones writing these rules. But they have their hands tied until several things change on a federal level, and that again either the Congress distinguishes hemp from marijuana. And by the way, I don't think we even mentioned this yet. There is a federal law that's been in process for 6 years now. First one, and it's Ron Paul, who we're all probably familiar with now
Yeah.
because he's run for president since this all happened, and his son
Republican.
he's a Republican. He's really a libertarian, but
Yeah.
he's officially a Republican. His son, Rand Paul, was just elected to the Senate.
That's right.
And we're actually hoping to leverage that to get a Senate bill in place this year as well. But long story short, Ron Paul has been a great supporter of this cause, and put together what was called the Industrial Hemp Act of 2005. That, you know, sort of never went anywhere. There's a 2-year bill process federally, so that died in 2007. He did it again. That died in 2009. He did it again.
Well, he's got a little
different
more
bill
power
numbers
now.
on
He's
me.
the chair of a powerful committee now, and
That's right.
with that
He's-
comes, you know, a little negotiation.
That's right. So we will have the Industrial Hemp Act of 2011 this year. I can almost guarantee that.
You mean to say passed or submitted?
No, we will have it submitted. So we will have another bill this year on the federal level. Our support has gone up every year. It's still relatively small support, though. If you think about, we have 435 reps in Congress,
Right.
and the highest number we've gotten on this legislation was where it is now. The 09 bill is at 26.
26?
Co-sponsors, 26.
Oh, co-sponsors.
Out of
Okay.
435.
Yeah, but that didn't mean that there's some that just because you're co-sponsors doesn't mean that there's not people that wouldn't vote for it still.
No, that's right. I mean, there's never been a vote
Right.
taken. See, that's the thing. So
all right.
this bill over the years has ended up in
Yeah,
various
if they
committees.
could get about 150 co-sponsors, maybe they'd take it up.
That's right. That's right. So it's just the way the game works. But the good thing is we've seen steady progress. There's been more support over time, and
Well, I'd be willing to be a guinea pig if somebody wanted to give me 50 acres of land. Well, you can keep the deed and everything. I'll go do it. I'll become a farmer. I'll grow hemp on that thing. The federal government can come and arrest me if you want. Sorry, Bridget, my wife probably wouldn't like that plan. But I wouldn't
Probably not,
mind
yeah.
being a sacrificial lamb because, to me, this is absolutely incredibly stupid.
They would still seize the land, but however, you're describing what we need, Daryl. See, Daryl Pillsbury has unquestionably shown courage in the issue of marijuana. And we need people really who has the courage, and he's a community man, a family man. He's
I'm a good guy.
You're a good guy.
I got my ups and downs like everybody else. I mean,
Exa-
there's a few people watching the show probably go, no, he's not.
Exactly, and you know what?
I know him, and
You
he is no good guy.
Yeah.
you have to really ask just what the heck is the Fed's problem, and really, can you sum it up in somebody like Michelle Leonhardt? You know, what is it going to take to really rattle the cage of the feds? Because if North Dakota can begin the ball rolling, why can't we get the in other words, North Dakota's showing the way, but that's our job. I mean, Vermont is known to show the way. We've done it on a number of issues, gay marriage and lots of other things, domestic partnership. So where's our legislature now when we really need them? And so,
Trying to find $115 million to do their budget.
well, then grow hemp.
That's exactly right. When you tell us to think outside the box, we got to come up with new ideas. How we can get a new revenue source in?
Right.
I raised my hand. I
Right.
brought up hemp and marijuana.
And
okay?
can't the
And
legislature...
it's like ridiculous.
Right, and can't the legislature ask, why are we licensing really? Why are we really licensing hemp? I mean, because they're afraid that a farmer will take some seeds and disguise marijuana growth or something. What is the problem with the DEA? What is your problem? I mean, get over it already.
Well, it's not a problem for them now. It's the way they make their money.
Well,
that's their existence, and most of the money comes from the marijuana.
Well,
not all the
right,
other stuff.
and
that's the key, Daryl, right there, is their existence.
That's exactly
right.
The marijuana is
right.
the biggest reason for the DEA's existence.
That's right.
It accounts for the majority of their activity, the majority
Exactly.
of their budget.
That's right. It's huge. You want to make some money?
Right.
I could make this country into some. In my mind now, other people watching go, "Oh, you idiot! You turn us into a society of a bunch of criminals." Well, guess what? We already got that.
Well,
so maybe we should try something new. This is the same with the healthcare thing. When I tell you just keep running into the wall, and everybody says, "Let's keep doing the same thing." Oh yeah, oh yeah, no, let's try something different.
Right.
And hemp, we had it once. It was beautiful. A lot of farmers, and I think, like we were talking before the beginning of the show, and we may have you come on in April with some Vermont history on hemp. I'm really sure that there was a big hemp farm in northern Vermont in the Northeast Kingdom. I'm almost positive in the 20s and 30s, which part of it was because of the war effort. I wouldn't want to put my life on it, but I'm pretty much there. So it'd be interested to know. And people, we had this, and it's not harmful. It does so many good things that, and as somebody who advocates for it, you must just go, man, what the heck?
Yeah,
and frankly, by the way, a lot of us in Vermont no longer give a damn what the DEA thinks about this.
Don't get it.
Go away.
I hate to say that, but
it's true.
And
go
you know
away.
why I
they
feel
certainly
that way?
don't know what's best for Vermont.
It's because
they
of the
don't
money.
know what's best for
and
us.
they're
or
only
the
in
country.
for the money too, though. Now,
Right.
like I said earlier, when you talk to your police chiefs, okay, they're all going to tell you, oh no, we don't want marijuana decree. We don't want any of that, because you know what? They make a ton of money that way. You go down and talk to the beat cop, please. He doesn't care. He's more concerned about the guy driving drunk.
And don't get us started on privatized prisons, which is also marijuana related.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, we got
the prison industry is certainly supported by by the drug war.
Well, one of the
marijuana
unions
especially.
that was against, and I'm a big union guy. The major union against the legalization of marijuana in California was the correction officers.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable.
And they happen to be, and this may not be true any longer, but at one point recently, they were the most powerful lobby and special interest group in California.
Blew me away when I heard that they were one of them. I don't know if they were. So listen, we got a minute left.
Okay, well, here's the deal then. If that's the case, we talked about having Eric back in April for the May. It's May 8th through 11th. What's the
May 2nd through 8th?
May. Okay.
Hemp History Week.
What
I'm not sure if we've actually.
5 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, 5
well,
minutes,
we're going to before we go, folks. We're going to have Eric tell you something about May Hemp Week and what you can do to help that. So I think.
Yeah, let's get them prepared for that. Tell them that. One of the things I'd like to say though, before we get through all the goodbyes and everything, is thanks a lot, Eric, for coming on, number one, and for advocating for something that I've been believing in for a long time. It takes a lot of people to do things, and as a politician, there's things that I really believe in and like, but I can't do it all. So I really counted on folks like yourself, and then Richard Davis in the medical field, and people like that. So I want to thank you, and for not giving up, because I really believe that you are going to be successful. I think the time is coming. I think the biggest part with hemp is the fear factor with the marijuana thing.
Right.
And that's unfortunate. I think people are afraid of people like me. If you get your thing, and then I'm going to come fly and ring the door right behind you to, let's do the marijuana now, which is...
Well, in some ways, we probably
which I would,
are. I mean,
okay?
we want
and I'm
people
doing
out
it now,
of prison.
but they are so different that I just think that let's get this one. They're two separate issues for me. Marijuana is another one, which we all know how I feel on that one. Which is pretty much the same way on a lot of the hemp stuff. It's another one where, to me, it's not a harmful thing, and yada yada yada. But anyway, I've talked long enough. Thank you so much. Thank your group.
You're very welcome.
And I think you put out a lot of good information here for
the
viewers.
Is that a total of 5, Joe? Okay. Well, because there's still things we want to hear about hemp. We have 5 more minutes with you.
Wow.
And so what else can you? What else? Because see, the purpose of this is to really introduce to the public, the legislature, and you folks across the state in Vermont, as much as we can about hemp. And we're going to continue this in April with Eric. But for now, right now is the time for people to call their legislators. Their legislators. What would you ask the public to do?
Well, along those lines, Vote Hemp is all about grassroots advocacy. As I mentioned before, it's one of our really the foundation of what we do, and it's about education. It's on our website. Aside from having all sorts of information, history, legal actions, state and federal legislative information, etc. One of the things we do is make it very simple for you, the hemp supporter, hemp advocate out there, to do something, to take some action. We have a whole page on our site called What Can I Do? And there's 100 things in there that you can do.
All right, so your site again is www.votehemp.org.
Votehemp.org, votehemp.com, that will get you there.
Exactly.
You can write letters to your legislators.
Well, I like
we've gotten pre-written letters, form letters that you can customize, but we make it easy.
Oh, now that you said that, let me just tell you this. As a former legislator, one who got a lot of these kind of things, the one thing that legislators would do is, when you look at the ones that come out on the form, they won't even.
That's why we encourage people to customize.
That's right. If you get, take the idea of what you got, rewrite it or something. They tend to more.
We think it's more important for legislators to at least get
something
100 form letters than to get nothing.
Well,
that is true.
Because at least it's going to, and you can attest to this. Put the issue on the radar. You may be throwing those out, but at least hemp's in your head now.
That's exactly what you will.
You folks hear this? When you point and click with a letter, it's less effective. So learn your information from votehemp.org and then call your legislator.
We got a couple of very good supportive ones, actually.
Right.
The Wyndham County legislators are very supportive.
We need to talk to the ones who are not supporting this. In fact,
Mike
Marijuana
Hebert
Resolve was
Oliver
formed
Olson.
to help put a face on this issue. That's why, as much as we want to separate hemp and marijuana, realistically, we're not really ever going to do that. But so they may progress a little differently, but they're a cannabis. They're botanically speaking, they're something like cousins. Is it not a family, more or less, as you're explaining, a dog and a similarity? So what we need you guys to do is to get a hold of your legislature, put a face behind it, put a voice behind it, send those letters, get a hold of
set up appointments. When your
set up
legislators are home,
appointments,
when they're doing town hall meetings, get the issue out there.
Right, exactly.
And most importantly, do your research, learn the facts, learn the history, help, and then get active. And whether that's writing letters, making phone calls, even if it is a form letter, if all you have is 5 seconds and you just want to click a form letter and send it, we make it easy to do that. We also make it easy to get the information you need to write your own customized
letter. If you're doing a form letter, the thing about a form letter, though, is at least your local legislator, when they see that you're from their district, I guarantee you they're going to take a moment and check it.
Right.
Well, tell our viewers also, does your site identify the legislators by district in Vermont? Do you know that offhand?
Well, we actually
If you go to it links you to the state website, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have enough in our budget to utilize the tools on a state level with this what we call an action alerts.
Well, Marijuana Resolve will have a way to reach your legislators.
We make it easy to find your legislators and contact them. I'm just
That's all
saying
you need.
we don't have our system doesn't allow you to send the form letter to your state legislator.
I see.
That's a lot more money.
Good.
It's not in our budget. But you can do that on the federal level. You can put in your zip code and do a form letter, and boom, it'll go off to your 2 senators and your rep.
Right. I see.
But the main thing, educate yourself, get active, do something, even if it's writing a letter once a week, making a phone call.
Okay.
I know we got to wrap up.
That is good advice, and we're so glad that Eric Lineback, treasurer of Vote Hemp and one of Vote Hemp founders, has been with us today. And so I think that we're going to be coming back with Eric again in April about Hemp History Week, and you'll learn a lot about this from this. As you can tell from listening to Eric, he has a lot to say and important things as well. So please tune in April when we have him back. And on behalf of Marijuana Resolve, thank you, Daryl, and I'm here with you all. And Eric, it was just incredible to hear all this.
My pleasure.
We've only touched the surface.
You got
Thank
that
you,
right.
BCTV.
Right.
Thanks for watching.
For
And you for watching,
BCTV
that's
and our sister affiliates around the state, CCTV and others, thank you and have a very good evening.